So this is classical chess, and Magnus opens his game with f4. Very logical move, hitting the pawn on a7. So knight b6 seems like the most logical way to continue here. But Nodirbek plays f5. Very interesting. He's like, if you take the pawn and trap my rook, I will also take your pawn and trap your rook. Let's see how Magnus goes here. He's thinking, and he chops off the pawn after 9 minutes of thought. So he's taken here. Now the rook is kind of trapped there. And black has to decide. Yeah, takes on a2. So if you take here, I'll take back. And then this rook is also trapped. So that would be equal. But Magnus, you can see, pours his water, and he understands that it's more important to open up the position. And the thing is, here, fe4 might be the best move possible. And then Magnus would take rook e4 back. But he plays bishop b1, and that's a small inaccuracy. Why is that an inaccuracy? Is because now Magnus is not forced to take here on b8 instantly. What he's doing is, he is trying to play with the other pieces. Here's a sample line. Takes, and g3 is a fantastic move here for Magnus. I don't know, he can take with a rook as well. But g3 is such a classy move, and it's very difficult to make such a move. But Magnus plays it. And his point is, after knight b6, he's not going to go after this rook. He's going to take this pawn, rook a8, and then take this knight, when actually white is clearly better here. It's insane how Magnus understands these little intricacies in the position. So Nodirbek plays c6. Now he wants to save his pawn. He could have tried to save it directly, but Magnus would have most likely broken up the center with a check coming in. It is looking very, very dangerous. So c6. And now, how does Magnus Carlsen continue here is a big question. He takes the pawn on e4. It's a fantastic move. And the rook is still trapped, so I can take it when I want to. I mean, one move that can be considered is knight b6, and then you take the rook. But Nodirbek now plays his pawn to g6 and opens up the queen. It's incredible how one small inaccuracy in freestyle chess can lead you to a position where you don't even understand that your position is not so good. And this is exactly what happens when you face a player like Magnus, who understands the piece configurations so well. Now the knight comes to e3. So the knight is looking in the direction of c4, g4, and trying to come to e5, b6, all of these squares. And Nodirbek has to decide what to do. So bishop comes out to b6, puts his bishop on the b6 square, and now you could take the bishop, but then you just an exchange down. So it might be the right time to take the rook. Bishop takes b8. Yes, he takes it. Bishop takes on b8. King takes. And now, get your pieces into the game. So knight b3 looks like a good move, and Magnus finds it. So the knight comes. Some of the things in freestyle chess are absolutely same as our standard chess, where you get all your pieces out in the opening. You do not wait to develop your pieces. Knight to b3, and Nodirbek also gets his pieces out. It's just that he has less space. He doesn't know how to put his pawns in the center. It's still a bit complicated. And now Magnus has a very, very strong move here, which is queen to b4, attacking the bishop and the pawn on e7. Now it's a tough move to find, but it's a move that forces black to take a decision. Beautiful move here, queen b4. Because if you were to play bishop to a7, then you have knight c4, knight a5, all the pressure brewing on the position there. And if bishop takes e3 now, which Nodirbek takes, of course you can't take with the rook because of the fork here, but you can take back with the pawn. Pawn takes e3. Takes back with the pawn. Magnus likes his position, but now Nodirbek can make a very strong claim towards the center control with pawn push to e5. And he does it. Ooh, first knight e5. He doesn't play his pawn to e5. First he attacks the queen. The queen can decide where to go. It can go back to d2, but Magnus keeps it more active on a5, which is the correct place. I think the queen is well positioned here on a5. And now Nodirbek pushes the pawn to e5 right into the center of the board. Okay, so here we have a position where black is also gaining in activity. And what's the move that should be played? Bishop f3. That's a beautiful move here. And the point of this move is that if you push e4, it's going to help white. But if you don't push e4, let's say you go back knight c7, then suddenly my pieces are very active. So he pushes e4. And now you realize that actually this bishop can simply move back. And the main difficulty here for black is that his rook was going to be activated. Now this pawn limits it. While white has the open file here, the semi-open file. So his rook will go there. Nodirbek goes queen g7. The best move here now is pawn to c4. Step by step, Magnus is screwing the position, like, turning the screws on his opponent. The knight quickly goes back to f6. And now king to c2. That's also an incredible move. Just doubling down the a-file when trying to checkmate the black king on down the a-file. Queen comes to f7, attacking the pawn here on c4. You see the bishop isn't doing much on g2. So he simply brings his bishop back to f1. Classy chess here by Magnus Carlsen. We are just on move number 17, but he has completely outplayed one of the strongest players in the world of chess, Nodirbek Abdusattorov. It also shows that freestyle chess is something that Magnus understands very deeply. d6 now. And of course, at this point of time, this is no longer freestyle or anything of that sort. This is just normal chess position. And now it's time to bring the rook in. So one of the threats in the position can be queen a7 check, king c7, and you can move in with the rook, trying to bring the knight in, putting pressure on all these squares. Nodirbek plays knight to d7. And Magnus plays his knight to d4. That's a very nice point. Let's imagine that you push your pawn to h5. The mating idea is take, check, king up, check. And this is already a checkmate that is taking place. So that's the threat. Knight comes to c5. And he pushes his pawn to b4. Just making the knight move away from there. He comes back to a6. But now can we go for like knight takes c6, b takes c6, and queen takes a6? That also seems to be completely winning. But Magnus finds even more accurate way. He goes b5. And I think Magnus could have played a queen b6, but there is queen c7. And after rook takes a6, take, there is the rook is trapped here. And it's interesting. But the thing is, after b5, cb, now you see Magnus finds queen b6. This is such a beautiful move because after queen c7, I take, and now king doesn't work because I can simply take rook b5. It's amazing that Magnus found this idea, knight b4 check. King b3 is very strong, attacking the knight. Of course, you don't fall for king c3 check and you lose the queen here. That is something that has to be taken care of. But I'm sure that Magnus has seen it. He plays king d2. And now the problems are just too many. There is queen d6 check coming in. The rook is open here. And